Benjamin Rich, or should I say Bold and Bankrupt? He started his YouTube journey in 2018. He gains over 1 million views per video by traveling to extremely isolated areas. However, with accusations of credit card fraud, unexplained court cases, and most notably controversial behavior towards women, to say he has a hidden dark side would be putting it pretty light. Take for example his very first video, titled, "I Loved India's Police Women," in which he spends roughly 3.5 minutes firstly swooning over female cops.
I saw what at first appeared to be a mirage, but they were no mirage. They were Indian traffic cops, and they were beautiful.
And before filming some pretty questionable shots with some more creepy commentary.
I stayed in the city an extra day, for no other reason than to gaze upon them. In fact, I'd often stop to ask needless directions just to see their smiles up close, maybe feel a slight hint of their breath on my skin.
Many of the video's comments, "Ha, I knew it, I'm not the creepiest man alive." However, despite being a pretty creepy upload, there was no denying the footage was interesting, especially to the Western audience. By showcasing similarly interesting cultures, shock footage like $1 Indian gym, Mumbai's largest slum and thieves market, Bold and Bankrupt exploded in popularity, all while maintaining his vocal love for the opposite sex.
There's two things that I like in life, markets and women. And here I've come to the world's only all-women's market.
In the other videos, Bold's comments became much more expressive.
Oh, sexy little things in a hijab. I'm a little bit scared to flirt. I do like a woman in a hijab. Is the hijab one when you just see the eyes? It's very sexy when you just see the eyes. Leaves a lot to the imagination. You start imagining what's under the rest of.
Although, since they were nested in highly interesting videos, nobody seemed to give them a second thought.
I found someone who's looking for girls like me. Where are the girls at? Let's find some chicks.
Excluding what seemed to be one single person who wrote, "Maybe the one thing this channel is missing is a little bit respect for women. They are either pretty, so they are like objects and creepily talked about, or they are big fat women with clanks. I love this channel, but yikes, it's weird." To which Bold actually replied, "I have news for you. Men objectify every woman we see or meet. We place them in two categories. Would fuck them or not. It's reality. If you think that is creepy, go ahead, but it doesn't change the facts of how men think." In which had been commented on a video where Bold had stated this.
Argentinian team has some hotties on it. Next stop, Argentina on the world tour, I think. But I have no actual interest in watching polo, although watching some Argentinian girls bouncing around on a horse might be fun, I don't know. Any Argentinian people staying here? Any blonde Argentinian girls, you notice?
His outlook only became more solidified after moving to Russia in 2019.
Look at the boobies they've given her. Oh my god, they're huge. They're bigger than Tanya's.
Although we will have to come back to the topic of women later, as the meantime he'd find himself in a totally unrelated controversy. During a video titled "The Last House in Chernobyl Village," Bold met a man named Kolya who lived in a derelict forest house with no power or running water. The two struck up quite unusual friendship, filming 6 different videos together. During Bold had an ideas. He chose to launch a line of merch with Kolya's face on the front, the profits of which would be given to Kolya, so he could increase his standard of living, and this seemed to work perfectly.
Recently, I had a t-shirt campaign, and I said I was going to raise some money for someone. And well, you guys bought the t-shirts, and I've got the money. And so I'm going to come here and hand it over to somebody.
Bold gave Kolya a handful of banknotes, later clarifying the amount to be
left him with the equivalent of what was about a year's pension money.
Although since the amount of money was somewhat visible on the camera, people were able to pinpoint exactly how much money was given. In my eyes, Bold has only given him 4 banknotes, which would be roughly 400 rubles or $200, which meant he only gave away the equivalent of 20 t-shirt sales, not exactly year's pension. Is it Bold? Although another post made things even worse. Bold failed to give Kolya any of estimated $10,000 money from the t-shirt campaign, apart from the $300 he gave on the camera. It turned out that Kolya wasn't even aware that he'd been filmed, and these kind people showed him the videos Bold made about him. In Bold's defense, giving $10,000 to someone with a severe alcohol addiction might also have a terrible idea.
Don't spend too much of it on alcohol, but Kolya's his own man. I just hope we haven't killed Kolya.
But while Bold and Bankrupt might have done the right thing here, there were more Russian controversies just around the corner. In November 2019, following a video he filmed on a train to Chechnya, Bold was back to talking about women by stating,
"Hopefully at some point in the night at some stop a Chechen chick turns up and shares my compartment with me. And I can put on some romantic lighting." Oh, salam alaikum, sister.
However, as a result of calling Chechnya women chicks, Bold was forced by the Russian government to apologize for the insult. But with comments such as LOL forcing someone to make an apology for a random flippant joke. Chechnya sounds like a ridiculous place, a nice healthy reminder never to go there. Most people understandably thought that Chechnya was being ridiculous. However, Bold's next controversy was 100% his fault. British YouTube star behind Bold and Bankrupt detained at Russian Space Center. British YouTube star with more than 3 million followers is arrested near Russian spaceport in Kazakhstan. British YouTuber ordered to pay fine after Russians detain him at spaceport. Bold had actually filmed the day all of this went down, and with uploaded under the title, "The Greatest Video Ever Made." He and a female companion had snuck into an old Soviet spaceship hangar without realizing the military had been notified who were on their way to arrest them. Bold was released with a measly £60 of fine. However, the arrest might have played into something more serious, which happened only 32 days later. It uploaded a new video title, "The Journey is Over," in which Bold explained he'd been unexpectedly arrested on the street and was forced to leave the country.
Is that I'm being kicked out of Russia with immediate effect.
In the months prior, Bold had called Putin crazy and shown his support for Ukraine, the reason for which was explained during a released interrogation video. Its state, "When you have a face on YouTube, if you want to earn money, you need to say what people want to hear. If you don't, it will be a problem for you." Every YouTuber received an email from YouTube where they said, "You may only talk about the situation in Ukraine from the side of Ukrainian. You can't tell it from the Russian point of view. If you do this, then you won't be able to earn money from advertising on your channel." Underneath the video, one online commenter stated, "That man is bullshitting to save his life. I bet after this he wouldn't want to be in Russia anyway. Looks terrifying." Another person stated as a Ukrainian, "The video of Bold is what everyone would have done in his position. We have no hard feelings about interrogation. I'm glad to see his adventures further. Beside being through out of Russia, man, he could go to some new countries, where in Syria, he'd post a story to his Instagram reigniting an old point of criticism. Discussion about women. Me before visiting Syria thinking, must be a hardcore there. I'm probably going to be a week of no alcohol and must not look at girls on the street or else I will be beaten up by angry brothers. Reality of Syria. Guys inviting you to bars to drink and constantly telling you to go homes to see how hot the women are there. My kind of country." Just a few months prior, Bold had posted another story reading, "Throwback to 6 years ago, when myself and HB were just a couple of red-pilled young chads traveling across Siberia having adventures. We did love to repeat those escapades and film them, but of course YouTube only allows for watered-down versions of trips censorship sucks." Bold seemed to imply that during his trips he'd seen more than just the local tourist spots, and as a result a subreddit was created. Bold and Baldra dossier deeply investigating Bold and Bankrupt history. They did find the Bold had used the online alias Vorkuta, which was the name of a small Russian town that Bold had spoken fondly of in an article that he had written. A person who met Bold in real life also confirmed that Vorkuta was his alias, and you therefore might be wondering, why is this important? Well, Vorkuta, who later his changed name to The Fantasist, was a prominent member of the pickup artist and sex tourist website Rush V Forum, where prior to the beginning YouTube he'd talk about wanting to head to place completely off the track, where he could find provincial seedy nightclubs with puke-stained carpets and suburban housing estates full of disenchanted and hopeless girls, in which his white god status is maximized even more. Bold also talked about taking his level of wealth in photos such as these, which helped him to sleep with an 18 years old last summer when he was 38. With this video title, "Dirty Secrets and Double Life of Bold and Bankrupt Exposed," giving a pretty good summary of Bold's 1,630 forum posts. It's therefore no surprise he joked about being a pickup artist and when someone commented on his videos. Big sex pest vibes, he can't help but be a creep around any women, and it's been same for years. Bold responded by stating, "A sex pest for years. That's absolutely unfair and untrue. I actually been a sex pest for decades." Bold was seemingly exercising his strategy for dealing with criticism. And while this works pretty well, 95% of the time, doubling down on a sex pest comment was something he probably should have just ignored. It didn't help that he was also accused of SA in year 2000, and while the article on the incident confirmed that Bold was acquitted, the judge stated there towards the women had been appalling. Combine this with a forum post where Bold bragged about his Rohypnol game and another joke on his Instagram reading. If you see this man, do not approach but call the police immediately. He has wanted in connection to a crime where rohypnol was used. It's not hard to see why some might think that Bald's a bit of creep. On the top of this, Bald had suspiciously changed his name from Benjamin Rich Swift to a more simple Benjamin Rich. The reason for which was explained by Bald and Bankrupt himself. It stated I owed £30,000 on credit cards and bank loans, here in UK about 5 years back. There was no way I could pay it back. I decided to change my surname to my mother's maiden name and changed address, and I never heard from them again. For which the audience actually admired him. I respect him more now. Scamming a bank is morally right. What a beast on traveling, bro. Which is exactly what he'd do until he'd post an Instagram story in Germany. Only been Europe in 2 minutes and already been ripped off £15 for 3 mouthfuls of pasta. Germany, just like the UK, must be a failed state. They need their old leader and some Hugo Boss suit back in power to sort things out. After Bald posted that to his Instagram story, he did receive a text from his mom. Glad you arrived back safely, but not sure about your comment with the food. Prompting Bald to post another story reading, my mum always worries when I'm trolling with based comments. Mum, get off Instagram, you are too old. In fact, if I find out you are on here again, I will start posting my collection of my George Floyd memes. After that, Bald also shows support for Andrew Tate. I have been offline for a while and just discovered that the top G has been cancelled. In the past, we defied strong men who were warriors and thinkers and built sculptures of them in public places. Nowadays, we defile men like that and ban their words from public space in case they upset someone. I know I'd have a night out with Tristan and Andrew than the pussies who were offended by their words.